Hello everyone. We're here with you with a map update of 14 May of 2023. Shall we begin? Sometimes rulers sacrifice their citizens to protect their power and privileges by lulling the people into sleep with lies. Well, chief among these lies is the claim that the homeland is in danger and that the whole world is hostile to them. But in the background, an entire people are sacrificed to ambitions of the ruler. Putin, ruler of the Russian Federation, launched a war against Ukraine with such claims. In this war, Russia's goal was supposedly to win a great victory and revive the Russian Tsardom, which had been consigned to dustbin of history. But the historic resistance of the Ukrainian army did not allow this. The Russian army suffered much higher than expected losses in the front line. We have shared with you many times in our reports that the Russian army suffered very heavy losses. Local sources also state that the Russian army could not compensate for these losses. The inability to compensate of these losses gives the Ukrainian army a great advantage on the front line. As a result of the pressure exerted by the Ukrainian army against the Russian army, Russian soldiers are forced to withdraw. We can start our map analysis where we can examine the developments on the front line in recent days. Before we start our map analysis, the Pioneer has an important request for you. The Pioneer and its team continues to follow Russian and Ukraine war and report it for you. In order to continue its reporting, we need your support. As the Pioneer viewers, you can support our team with a super thanks button. Now we can continue with the map analysis. In this report, the Bakhmut line will be continued to our priority. There have been promising developments for the Ukrainian army in the region in recent days. So much so that local sources state that there is an intense censorship of news related to Bakhmut by the Russian media. Let's look at the Bakhmut line on the map again. We can see the Ukrainian army has not yet fully launched a counteroffensive, while Russian troops have started to withdraw at many points. The blue areas on the map are the areas liberated by the Ukrainian army in just 1 week. According to the latest data, the area of Ukrainian control in the southwest of Bakhmut is gradually expanding. Within the scope of Ukraine's Bakhmut siege plan, the Ivanivsky line southwest of the Bakhmut is of great importance. The area liberated by the Ukrainian army in just a few days in this region is about 4 kilometers. The Ukrainian army is working hard to further expand its dominance in the region. Ukrainian army units have made significant progress on the Dubavo and Vasilivka line. In the coming days, it is likely that the Ukrainian army will launch larger counterattacks in this region. The Ukrainian army is fighting with a great effort to further expand its dominance in the region. Continuing this operation south of Ivanivsky, Ukrainian army units have made significant progress in the Dubavo and Vasilivka line. In coming days, it is likely that the Ukrainian army will launch larger counterattacks in this region. There is another important area south of Ivanivsky. This is the Russian-occupied Klishivka region. The 72nd Separate Motorized Brigade of the Russian Army is stationed here. Numerous reports of the Ukrainian officers stationed in the forces area here were shared by the local sources. We have already mentioned that this region is important for Ukraine's southern front to encircle Bakhmut. Again, according to the local sources, Russian troops in the frosted areas north of Klishivka were forced to retreat from their positions after a sudden raid by the Ukrainian army. Let us now turn our attention to Horlivka and Donetsk, south of Bakhmut. In recent days, there have been fierce clashes in this area. Horlivka is a key to the Ukrainian army's advance on the Luhansk and is crucial for the courses of the war. According to the local and Ukrainian sources, the Ukrainian army has increased its pressure on Horlivka. It is reported that intense clashes are taking place in the city. The Ukrainian army is operating many new fronts on the front line for the counterattacks it will launch. The Russian army, which is uncomfortable with the superiority gained by the Ukrainian army on the central front, tries to stop the Ukrainian army with various attacks, but it cannot succeed in this. When we go a little further down on the map, we see that Mariinska region. The Russian army attempts several attacks on the Ukrainian lines to stop Ukrainian army's advance and prevent a major counterattack. However, the Ukrainian army, which successfully used field advantage, outmaneuvered the Russian army in urban clashes. The Russian soldiers who attempt to attack were forced to retreat. We have observed that the Russian army has not attempted to attacks on the northern line for a long time. Well, now let's turn our eyes on Kupiansk on the northern line. We observe that the Russian army has increased its activities in this region in recent days. Many military experts claim that by increasing its activity here, the Russian army is trying to gain psychological superiority in order to break the superiority of the Ukrainian army in the center. Well, but the Ukrainian army does not allow this. Attempts by the Russian army to attack the Kupiansk line in recent days have failed. If we turn again to the south of the map, we see that Zaporizhia and the surrounding have not changed radically. However, we can say that the operations of sabotage group have visibly increased in the recent days, especially in Tomak line east of the Dnieper River. It is reported that the bomb attacks have been carried out many points. We know that the Russian army in the region has not attempted an attack and is in a completely defensive position. Especially east of the Dnieper River has been quiet in terms of hot clashes. Many experts claim that this silence will be broken by the Ukrainian army's counterattacks. Another important point is Russian-occupied Luhansk. As you know, Luhansk region has been under Russian occupation for a long time. We have shared with you in previous reports that there have been many fires and explosions in the region. Bad news for Russia continues to come from this region. Well, Russia has to deal with many problems in Luhansk at the same time. There is information that there are many explosions in Luhansk. One of them is the aviation school in Luhansk. According to local sources, there was a violent explosion at the aviation school in Luhansk, and fire broke out immediately afterwards. It is claimed that the fire continues and the fire brigade intervention is significant. On the other hand, it was announced that the Igor Kornet, a senior Russian official, was blown up in one of the explosions in Luhansk. It is known that Kornet, who was in a building at that time of the explosion, is in serious condition and continues to be treated in an intensive care. Kornet is described by many Ukrainians as a brutal killer. Well, developments on the front line shows that Russia's panic level is increasing. According to the latest information, the Ukrainian army has achieved both fire superiority and psychological superiority at many points. On the other hand, the Russian army is losing blood every day. Well, it is estimated that when the expected Ukrainian counteroffensive begins, the Russian army's power of resistance will be completely broken, and the counteroffensive is coming very soon. What do you think? How do you think the Furin's battle in Bakhmut line will end? Will the Russian army agree to withdraw from Bakhmut? What do you think about the Ukrainian army against the Central Front? Will the Northern Front start to see the action again? What are your thoughts on the explosions in Luhansk? We care about your opinion. Please share them with us.